battle that we saw here on Fight Island.
You read my mind, Joe. I was just thinking exactly
that. Chess match.
It's all about the nuances of movement for both of these guys. They're reading each other. They're using feints. They're trying to set things up. They're also checking to see how each fighter reacts to the shots that they throw.
And it's stressful.
It's stressful.
Well, when we talked to Korean Zombie on Wednesday or Tuesday, I don't know what the days are here, but one day we talked to the Korean Zombie and he talked about trying to keep that guy out, right? The zombie, the guy that just goes into danger. But I think at some point he's going to have to let him out so he can force the fight, make Ortega.
Well, at least he has that,
shot at him. Yes.
And also, what about training himself not blinking during the fights as well, so he can see things coming.
Ortega looking for that lead elbow then as he was backed up against the fence.
Good counter there by Zombie.
He's such a great fighter.
Ortega nice and light on the outside.
The approach of Zombie though, heavy on that lead leg, quite happy to put himself at striking range in order to try and counter.
Now Ortega takes the centre of the octagon with a bit more of a wide stance.
There you go.
Can he finish this takedown? Zombie has excellent takedown defense.
Fantastic takedown defense by the Korean Zombie, but also very smart by Ortega to go and take a shot and just make him think that takedown's still coming. Sure.
I really like the way that Zombie got aware of the elbow that was incoming on the break as well. Showed great awareness. And there you go, DC, to your point. Touches the leg, goes high with the left hand.
Yeah, because now Chan Sung Jung has to respect the takedown because of that attempt.
Dan, you've got to mix your arts.
You have. You've got to mix your martial arts. Both of these guys looking so good though. I mean, Ortega's looking very, very patient in comparison to previous fights. We know that he takes his time when he's, in those early couple of rounds. This is a very smart approach for him, but look at the marking on Brian Ortega's legs. That right leg, the shin is bruised and red from blocking the Zombie's kicks. And the left leg on the outside calf, which is why he's predominantly standing southpaw perhaps. It's got some real redness to it. Doesn't seem to be affecting his movement too much.
No, he's still moving very well. He just never gets to go forward, right? He's constantly skating along the fence. The Korean Zombie always has his back to the center of the octagon and keeping him on his back foot.
Beautiful uppercut up the center channel through the guard of Brian Ortega.
That's a big body kick there from Ortega.
Dude, he has great blocks.
Ortega's been using a lot of science since we saw him last. Really felt like he was neglecting certain areas of being a professional athlete. But he's fixed all of that.
That's the thing as well, when you can get as far as Brian Ortega did on, skills alone. When you start adding those other facets to your game, discipline with your eating, oh, beautiful little touch on the inside leg to stifle the attack of Korean Zombie. Very intelligent move.
I love those feints that Brian's showing him, right? Showing him at the legs, showing him up top. Because right now, the Korean Zombie's having a better...
Oh my God!
Finish him. Finish him.
How is he alive right now, bro? Bro, there's no way that he almost gets knocked out by the same move twice.
Ladies and gentlemen, holding him perfectly on that spinning elbow.
I mean, how in the world is Chan Sung Jung still standing?
Yeah, he's in the sky.
Takedown for Ortega here.
Yeah, very smart.
Oh my God, that was insane.
To his wrestling there. His coach is yelling, Brian, don't mix it up. Don't
believe he's alive.
take it to the ground, and now he's in complete control.
Nice takedown, and the danger for Zombie is scrambling back to his feet. Short time, less than 10 seconds to go. But a huge round for Brian Ortega with the spinning elbow.
I mean, massive moment because the Korean Zombie was having a good round until he took that big elbow. I mean, look at this. The Korean Zombie looking really good, but as he starts to enter, look at Brian Ortega spin. elbow
He's
where
lucky.
dropped
He's
the
lucky.
He got the shoulder. If he would have got the elbow, he would have been out.
Tricep muscle,
Up
like
until
boom.
that,
Yeah, he got the
you
tricep.
cannot.
That's just still
I mean,
fucking.
he
Almost
didn't
got
do
the
nothing
elbow.
wrong. That was just a great technique by Brian Ortega and showing how many more tools he has in the toolbox.
He must have had thoughts of Yair Rodriguez at that moment.
Why does he get caught by the craziest elbows,
But again,
bro?
Because he's missing, bro. He's showing some crazy.
You remember
No blood.
Pantera?
He's checking his jaw. He's checking his jaw. He was like,
더블로 들어가지 말고 one step, short step, okay? And score, chip away this step, chip away. Great job. Buen trabajo. You're giving different looks, okay? Have a lot of weapons.
His new coaches.
2-0. His jaw's probably killing him.
jaws.
This third round is brought to you by P3, the official protein snack of UFC.
He might have
Round
fucked this shit
for
up
Brian
right now.
Ortega in a fight that's lacked big moments. He certainly gave us one there.
Yeah, he's showing
Somebody
his jaw
stretching out his
so
jaw
bad.
at the start of the second round there. As you were saying, John, in the break, the Yair Rodriguez knockout there. You know, caught him being a little
Look,
overzealous.
he's gonna open his
I think
mouth.
Ortega
bro.
felt.
He's
I think
opening his
Zombie
jaw.
felt like Ortega was turning and moving away so he could chase him down and land a power shot in retreat. But Ortega set him up perfectly, drifted away, chopped a spinning elbow right to the jaw, and you can see Zombie still stretching his jaw out. Is there an injury there, perhaps?
It's also about game plan, right? When you're fighting Yair Rodriguez, you expect those things. You don't expect those things against a Brian Ortega. But that's the old Brian Ortega, not the guy that's in there right now.
Now you do.
And that, as I said, that lead elbow was what started off the Frankie Edgar knockout. He uses that as a guard, but in that fight particularly, he turned it into a weapon. And now we're seeing developments in the game, the elbow game of Brian Ortega. I do like the fact that he switched it up and went for the takedown in the second round as well, just to continue making this a mixed martial arts fight.
I'm not looking to disagree, but I look back to that Ortega-Edgar fight, and the elbow really set things up for him there. And he was trying to get his elbow off against Holloway as well, but he's certainly refining that technique.
Holloway's a far more patient fighter. You know, he stays at range and uses the full length of his arms, whereas Zombie, as you can see, is heavy on that lead leg. Tap, tap, tap. Making sure his head's in one piece. Ortega with that hop side kick to the lead knee. Rangefinder.
And Brian Ortega's not breathing heavy. He's still bouncing and moving. The Korean Zombie's down 2-0. And now, because he got hurt so bad, he can't even attack in the way that he's used to.
That's exactly it, DC. There's going to be some hesitation in the Zombie. Powerful body kick from Ortega.
That was finding the liver as well, I think. I've noticed Korean Zombie's guard a little lower after that one. Ortega's been very cool all week. We would have known he'd been away if it wasn't the narrative that was pushed really hard by all members of the media. It is the storyline.
Bro, that elbow was
But he
crazy.
hasn't missed a beat.
Well, he's gotten better, right? He took the time off to get better, to improve. And you never know what happens to an undefeated fighter when they take their first loss, especially in the championship, in the way that Brian did. But if you look at him today, opposed to back then, he looks like a better fighter.
Zombie needs to get in there.
And he had a couple of surgeries as well, DC, in the time that he went away, so everything's been fixed up good.
I like when Zombie swarms with combination punches because at least one gets through the guard of Ortega.
Well, again, you know, this round is starting very, very good for Chan Sung Jung. He's doing good to start. He has to stay the course, though, if he hopes to win this round and ultimately win this fight.
Zombie in the center of the octagon. These two changing positions where they want to do their work. Ortega's pretty happy circling around the perimeter.
Oh, that was a nice level change, straight left to the body. And the jab of Ortega's doing some real, he's doing a great job at managing the distance between the two.
Well, Ortega has the Korean Zombie very confused right now. He's reaching down, grabbing his leg. He's throwing the jab. Like, look at this. He's just giving him so many things to think about.
100% DC. It's a very varied attack from Ortega.
And when you get a counter striker like the Korean Zombie, they're used to countering punches, right? He's not used to countering all these different actions, so he doesn't know where Brian Ortega is going to be.
And this is the smart approach from Brian Ortega, keep reaching for that lead leg. First of all, it reminds Zombie that the takedown's there. But then once he feels comfortable that Ortega's just using it as a feint, that also opens up the takedown for him.
For sure. And where I said the round started good for the Korean Zombie, now Brian Ortega has thrown and landed so many strikes unanswered.
There it is. Can he finish it? Beautiful strike on the break from Ortega.
Oh, Brian Ortega looks fantastic tonight.
It's that new streamlined haircut that he's got. No wind resistance in his forward movement. He looks so much quicker than normal. Really good decision making in these strikes as well.
Last few seconds in this third round, he tries that spinning elbow again, and he makes the Zombie hit the toes.
Yeah, he's just giving so many different looks. Fucking crazy.
다리 괜찮아? 몇 번째 라운드?
Is your leg okay?
네 번째. 야, 네가 그 스핀하고 테이크다운을 너무 신경 쓰는데 테이크다운을 이거 못해.
Don't focus on takedown too much.
중간에 있을 때 하나씩 던지고 있는 거야. 근데 얘가 던질 때 네가 카운터를 해야 돼. 스피닝 벨트 도는 거는 네가 투 스텝 들어올 때만 던지는 거야. 얘네들 뒤로 가서 뒤로 갈 때. 한 번에 when you touch him with that jab, I need you to follow up now, and I need that load step 1, 2 when you feel it, and put him on his ass.
Yes. Remember, you 3, because right when you come up out of that same leg and you come in and you throw again, you're going to go down again and up again. You got 3 of those in the hook there.
On the tonight's main event, don't miss a recap of all the action on the UFC Fight Night post-show on ESPN+. Megan, Daniel and Michael Chiesa join me to break it all down after the main event only on ESPN+. Waiting for the door to be secured. All right, round number 4. Teddy Atlas tuning in for this one.
Shout out to Teddy Atlas. I stole his phrase, water in the basement, and that's exactly what Brian Ortega's doing at the moment. He's slowly chipping away at Zombie. We're seeing a higher percentage of strikes landed to the legs from Brian Ortega, slowing the Zombie down, disabling that lead leg. This is better for Zombie though. This is where he needs Ortega, back to against the fence where he can unload those combination strikes.
Well, this is what he has to do, right? Because staying at range and taking his time has not benefited him. Brian Ortega is up 3 rounds to 0 in my opinion. And if he does not pick it up, he's going to be on the bad end of a decision.
And statistically, this is his best round of all of his fights. He's the most dangerous in the 3rd round. But he's so patient in this fight, he's taking his time. Oh, sorry, 4th round, this fight's flying by. We're going to need a few more rounds.
So John Gooden alongside Daniel Cormier, Dan Hardy here for the main event.
Bro, he's literally just getting rocked.
The Korean Zombie.
He's taking a lot
And will take us out to feel himself now, exploring with that jab and landing that big, lively left hand.
Snapping his way into range, giving the Zombie different looks every time he steps in. So it's difficult to start setting him up and counter.
It's crazy. This Brian Ortega, in his last fight, he stood at the edge of Max Holloway's punches. Now, he's moving, countering. I mean, he looks like a striker. This does not look like a jiu-jitsu-based fighter right now.
What's going on for this takedown?
Oh, beautiful strike there. Oh, he's cut the Zombie. He's cut the Zombie on his eye. Looks like it was from that short right hand that he landed.
That was sensational work, DC, chasing a takedown and striking towards the end.
But even that, he hurt him. He hurt him bad. But even that takedown, right? Brian Ortega said that he used to hate wrestling. Now he's
He doesn't like it. He doesn't like it. And the referees.
That's because the Zombie was wiping at it. That's exactly why he stopped it. Because the Zombie's acknowledging that blood is running into his eye. Sometimes you got to get your game face on.
Yeah, it's going off to the side though. It's not going into the eye.
It's swelling up already. Look.
Good? Okay, here we go.
Oh, look at this. We've got Ortega runs him into the fence.
Oh, he's already bleeding actually on the shot.
The short right hand here is really nicely chosen.
No, he didn't even fucking hit him with that.
Zombie.
It was a headbutt.
Yeah, it was like when he came in, he just
What do you think about that though, DC? The fact that Chancellor John was really pouring at his eye there. Obviously felt bad for him to give it so much attention.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, but or maybe it was because it looked like the cut came on the takedown. So I don't know if the heads came together. I don't know what happened, but Brian Ortega looks phenomenal right now.
It looked to me like a potential clash of heads as Ortega was closing distance. These things do happen, unfortunately, but it's not a problematic area for Zombie. The reason it was stopped for the doctor check is because he was wiping at it.
Well, and if the doctor thought that maybe it was a clash of heads, he was wiping at it, he would stop it to check. Or the referee, I mean.
There's a fight that stands out to me, and it was on the Ultimate Fighter as Edwin Dweez got caught with a shot and opened up. And he actually took the fighter down and was ground and pounding him whilst holding the cut closed with one hand. Sometimes you got to work around these things. Zombie needs to pick his pace up. Ortega's nearly doubling his output on total strikes, landed 81 to 47. Nice shots by Ortega.
Ortega cracked in with the right hand. These guys have been waiting a very long time to share the octagon. More than that, get hands on one another.
He's literally looking like he's been a jack boy for like since birth.
He looks much improved defensively. I know we're speaking a lot about
his literally got walked in when he was
his kicks and his punches, but he looks so much better defensively. He does not even look like the same fighter.
And if we think back to when he was in the dressing room warming up, we saw Tiki Gosen throwing hooks around the sides, and Ortega was covering and countering, and it's prepared him perfectly for what he's seeing from the Zombie right now, who's winging lefts and rights around the sides of the guard, and Ortega's catching them on his arms and leaving himself in the pocket ready to counter if he chooses.
Last 40 seconds in the fourth round here.
Yo, this man's head is all fucked up.
This main event. The winner of this contest gets Alexander Volkanovski, of course the champion of the 145-pound division.
You can see how comfortable Brian Ortega is now. He's cruising at this stage. Beautiful level change there. Good defense by Zombie so far.
Last few seconds, however, still goes after it, spins down the elbow, misses. Round 4 done.
Yo, this Korean Zombie's gonna have to. He's gonna have to knock him out if he wants to win this fight.
You know, shite, mate. You shite.
이게 마지막이야.
This is last round.
자, 네가 배를 가지 마, 발차기. 밟았나면 다리가 완전히 굽는데 두 번만 더 때리면 밟았고 또 그래?
Yeah, everyone keeps saying Ortega's looking sharp.
KO를 이겨야 돼. Okay?
It's like they're all
More boxing.
KO를 이겨야 돼. 주먹으로.
Here we see as Brian Ortega reaches in for the leg and drags the Zombie close. He lifts his head up, and there's an unfortunate clash there, completely incidental and not intended by Ortega as he was closing distance, just trying to get good head position. There we can see the blood start to flow from the eye of Zombie. Last round though, I don't think it's going to affect this fight.
He would have got rocked right there.
Order ahead.
So 5th and final round. Ortega's warned, just a minor hit, but as Dan said, totally unintentional. They touch him up, get ready for the final 5 minutes of this top of the tree featherweight clash.
Well, you heard Eddie Cha tell the Zombie, you got to punch more. You've got to do more. This is the last round. You cannot be patient anymore. More boxing, more punches. He's got to try and get Brian Ortega out of there.
And you've got to think Brian Ortega knows where he's at on the scorecards here. He's expecting the Zombie to push the pace in this 5th round. Try and get the finish, try and land something significant. Beautiful low kick.
DC, I'm looking forward to discovering what the strategy is for both of these guys. Ortega's strategy, whatever it is, he seems to be sticking to it very, very well.
Very nice.
He is just mixing it up so well, man. He's grabbing the leg, letting go, throwing the punches.
That was a nice attempt to drag the leg to a lead elbow, which I can't think I've ever seen that before in the octagon.
Scored.
Yeah, he's getting very creative tonight.
Nice. We're really seeing Brian Ortega take on a second second stage of his career.
Yeah,
This is a dangerous fighter in this division.
Well, they went to the lab and they recreated him, right? They went and chipped away at all the bad things, and they fixed them, and they improved them. And now he is standing for 21.5 minutes with Chan Sung Jung and winning the vast majority of these exchanges. This is a big moment.
From snapping left. This kind of performance makes me very excited about him potentially having a title shot, because he bookends the champion's striking style.
Yo, why is he leaving his hand out?
He's got good long-range striking, very patient, but we know he's got that neck attack, which makes him incredibly dangerous if the champion closes him down. And we're really seeing some blood coming from the eye now of Zombie, which has been emphasized by the jabs.
And Alexander Volkanovski, right? A fantastic wrestler. Do you take down Brian Ortega, or do you stand with him? And this version of Brian Ortega is a problem for everyone.
You mentioned the submission threat, Dan, of Brian Ortega. We have to obviously mention Henner Gracie, who has remained part of the setup for T-City.
When Brian Ortega said, hey, if I gotta leave anybody, I leave my jiu-jitsu coach, and I watch the way he's fighting today, right? If I have to lose anyone, I'm confident in my jiu-jitsu. Well, bringing these strikers with you obviously has paid dividends, because look at the performance he's putting on the Korean Zombie right now.
And remember that fight between Yair Rodriguez and the Korean Zombie went down to the final seconds. And of course, Brian Ortega is never out.
Like, he's literally just moving the whole time.
He's got three of the biggest statistical comebacks.
And when you look at the Korean Zombie, right, it seems like he has not gotten out of first gear, even as he's losing the fight. You start to question, is this one of those fighters that needs the crowd? Whereas we said Justin Gaethje did better. He was able to stay aware and stay composed without the crowd. Does the Korean Zombie need the crowd to push him and get him going and fighting with that zombie style?
And you could even see the hesitation when Zombie is in punching range. He's not willing to just throw like he normally does. He's trying to find the perfect shot, which is allowing Ortega to kind of pick at him. He's using that long side kick to the midsection to maintain the distance. He's sticking it with the jab, controlling the lead hand.
There's never been a more clear case of not finishing takedowns paying such strong dividends as it has tonight for Brian Ortega. But because he has not allowed Chan Sung Jung to just walk him down by just picking at his leg, even though he's not taking him to the ground, it keeps the Korean Zombie hesitating.
Well, it hasn't stopped Zombie coming forward like you would expect. Still always in the fight, looking for that finish. Possesses some of the most powerful hands at 145 pounds.
Last minutes as well, last 45 seconds. Zombie trying to close distance. Ortega's still quite happy to stand and counter though.
Well, Brian Ortega has never been knocked down, has never been dropped and stopped. So he's got a lot of confidence in his shit. So when the Zombie's going forward, he's okay with standing there, even though that was a big left hook by the Korean Zombie.
And Ortega approaching personal best for significant strikes landed. And we don't know the result, but if he does come away with a win against the Korean Zombie after what he's been through.
Oh man, look at that. Think about the improvement though, right? Some of the times that he's had to come back into the fight, he was behind in the stand-up. He has completely outclassed the Korean Zombie on the feet tonight.
That might be the best jab in the division right now. Beautiful performance by Brian Ortega.
That's so good.
He almost ate another buzzer beater elbow like the other one.
T-City looking good out there after a long layoff. And we see the damage there. We will be back in 30 seconds to get the judges.
I really know what that outcome. I wonder if Korean Zombie is going to win that. Wow.
I mean, you know.